It is October 6, 2023. We're here on the side of the property on the east side of the house at 2212 Bahia Drive in La Jolla, California, 92037. You can see there was a outdoor shower put in here. Here's our backyard. So on this east side of the property, we have our first sewer clean out. The house was redone within the last 15 to 20 years. Looks like all new plastic was installed, of course, when the house was redone. So we shouldn't find any issues. All the cleanouts that we have around the property appear that they were all closed off and have not been opened in a very long time. So again, probably not ever having any stoppages or any issues. So we have a 4-inch ABS sewer for this side of the house, picking up the 2 bathrooms over here. We're basically making sure that everything was installed to code. There's a T-junction picking up the other bathroom right there. There's no construction debris or just any other objects in general caught in the sewer pipe. Somehow that there's no roots intruding, no sags or bellies where there's improper slope to the pipe. So push through this line here. We're going to pass a bunch of T-junctions. Laundry and kitchen. Our laundry's on this side of the house. The kitchen's a little bit towards this side of the house, but a little bit towards the middle. So there's another T-junction there. Another T-junction there. So again, as expected so far, we're not finding any issues with the pipe. Little cobwebs there. Another T-junction there, picking up more fixture units. Okay, so here's our backwater valve. So right now, at about 50 feet approximately, this is the backwater valve. We uncovered this lid in the garage. I'm assuming that's the one we're at. I don't, unless there's a secondary one. So we're going to pause and locate this. But a backwater valve is essentially a little gated door that's supposed to prevent cross-contamination if the line ever backs up in the city, basically out in the street, so that little door swings shut. Now, as you can see right here, this door is actually kind of stuck in the partial up position. That's what happens with these over time, or maybe it's partially lifted up. And so the door, if it's just swung open, if something backs up beyond here, it'll swing shut, stopping everything from downstream from here that's trying to build up from filling up and flooding the home. So that's the little connection door that you're looking at right here. We don't run the cameras past here because it could get stuck if the door swings shut and jam and not allow our camera to come back in reverse. So we're going to pause the video. We're going to go ahead and locate to confirm that this is the backwater valve access we found in the garage, and then we'll go ahead and move our cameras over to the other side of the house. Okay, so we've gone ahead and located this backwater valve, and because it was only 50 feet out, we were a little skeptical if it was the one in the garage. Like we mentioned, we're going to locate. Well, we did locate, and it's not the one in the garage. That seemed a little bit short distance-wise. This side of the house has its own lateral, completely separate from the other side of the house. So this line here runs from this very beginning point where we started from the clean out and actually comes out clear in the front portion of this side of the house. And in the synthetic grass, they've got some very cleanly disguised cutouts where you can get to the sewer backwater valve that we're looking at right here, and then right after this, which is what they're supposed to do, is another clean out to then inspect beyond this backwater valve so that you don't try to pass through this area. So everything looks good up to this point. Obviously, as we mentioned, all newer plastic. We didn't expect to find any issues. We're now going to go ahead and pull the camera out and go try to pull the lid from this backwater valve just after it to inspect the rest of the way out from here to the street for this side of the house. And then they might converge together to one pipe eventually before they get out to the street. And we'll determine that once we get the camera beyond this point. Okay, so we pulled out the gate because the two cleanouts, or the single cleanout, I apologize, that's after this backwater valve that we just pulled the gate out, now you don't see that little gate anymore, is actually sweeping back into the house. So we had to pull the gate out. The gate, how we mentioned, it was partially open. It is actually broken and stuck in the open position. It's not working anymore. Now, we don't really recommend and ever install backwater valves anyway, because that gate causes such a headache with trapping debris trying to get out of the house. So we're not worried about that not functioning. It's a somewhat newer installation that some cities are asking plumbers and contractors to install. We've never used them in the past, so again, it's not a big deal. We don't even actually recommend replacing that backwater gate valve with a new working version. So we're now just continuing down the line here. Appears there's another clean out right here. We did see a clean out right by the steps when you come off the sidewalk walking onto the property to go towards the front door. That's probably this clean out right here. There's a T-junction right there. So one of them could be actually the other side of the house dumping into the system, and the other one is the clean out. So we're going to go ahead and leave our camera right underneath this one, and we're going to pause and see if that's where we're at. Okay, so this is the clean out that's on the steps when you leave the property headed towards the sidewalk. There's a metal cover into the plastic pipe that's exposed, and that's where we're at right here. So the first clean out we passed a few feet in front of this was probably the T-junction that picks up the other side of the house, coming in over the top of that line, dumping in, then they become one and then head out. So we're going to push through. You can see there is some standing water right here. So there's a small, what we call sag or belly to the line right here. Now the unit's been vacant, I think they said, for almost about 6 months, so we're not seeing any toilet paper or feces in there. I can't say that that's going to cause any problems or stoppages, but it's that small sag belly. It was not supposed to be there, so we'll mark this out on the property. You can see everything goes completely underneath because of the depth of it. So that we don't know if it will be an issue, but that slows debris down because obviously it's not going downhill, and so it essentially can trap food, grease, toilet paper, feces, etc., and then lead to a stoppage possibly. It's not a guarantee. Now there is the clean out just ahead of it right here literally, but right after this clean out, so you can see we're at about 69 feet there. We start to go underwater immediately, and then we run for so far right about almost 2.5 feet, I'm sorry, 3.5 feet, and we hit this turn on the line, and then right after the turn you can see we transition to original clay pipe. So here we have original clay pipe here. Got some cobwebs in the line. Those are not roots there. Just more cobwebs. So our camera's a little tough to push through right here because of the distance we're out and the turns we've made. So we're going to go ahead and pause the video while we turn some water on to help move this camera from this 78-foot distance in the clay out the rest of the way to make sure there's no issues in the street and the clay pipe that need to be possibly maintained in the future. Okay, so we have some sinks running on this side of the house right now, so that will help push our camera through this clay pipe and just verify we don't have any root intrusions. That's all we're looking usually with clay. You can have small cracks every once in a while, but root intrusions are the big thing, and we found none so far. We're now making the downward turn, you can see right here, and looks like we've just dumped into the city line. So this is the end of the lateral for the house and from all this side, so we're about 86 feet out. So we're going to go ahead and shut the water off. Okay, so I apologize. Looks like we left our camera recording accidentally. We shut the water off, and again, here's the last vertical drop where this goes into the city, essentially. The last turn right here. So we're out in the street. We're going to come back up this vertical pipe here, pass through that turn, now heading across all this clay. Again, no roots, those are just all cobwebs. We're now going to pull back to the sag belly in the system so we can mark that out and determine the depth as well. So here's the transition to plastic. So here's essentially kind of the end of that, and we're going to go ahead now and pause and locate this. Okay, so this transition into the clay pipe is just where we'd expect it at the property line. We're just barely 1.5 feet, 2 feet in front of the city sidewalk, leaving the house. So the pipe is about 6 feet deep right here. So again, this is not something you'd be able to really dig up or repair. It's all under concrete walkway and steps, and it's super deep. We're going to back up here. So again, here's that immediate turn, and then we're underwater for this about 3.5 feet. And then there's the drop coming from that clean out that leads into there if the line ever had to be snaked or maintained in any way, if it did lead to a stoppage somehow. The line, because it's smooth ABS plastic, sometimes when that clean out lid would be removed, you could possibly clear that line out by just putting a garden hose down there and running high full blast water. That heavy water alone might clear the line if it ever backs up. So again, wasn't installed properly completely, but it's not too bad, but it is holding water, not draining out. So this is essentially the very beginning of this sag belly right after that clean out. So we're now going to mark this area on the property as well to denote the span between the two spots that we've located. Okay, we've got this area marked off with some chalk. So there's step downs in the property. So the pipe here we picked up about 5 feet 7 inches depth, but there are the steps of the concrete walkway there, so it's not exactly accurate. But anyway, when the pipe was put in or backfilled, they were slightly off. If it was never perfect, they should have gone a little bit farther into the clay pipe and cut farther away to create a little bit more slope at this last section before it transitions. Anyway, we don't expect a huge amount of issues here, but it does need to be noted that this is obviously not correct. And when the camera goes completely underwater like this, then again, that's relatively a little bit deeper than we normally would want to ever see, of course. We get small sags or bellies on occasion. This one's a little bit deeper than what we'd want to really have. So there is the possibility that this may have to be snaked, chain knocked, or hydrojetted on occasion to clear it out if debris does back or build up into this portion of the system. There's none in the line right now, but I believe we were told the unit's been vacant for 6 months, and we don't know if they had it cleaned right after they moved out to kind of make sure there's only liquid water in the pipe and no buildup. We just can't say. So we're now going to go ahead and pause and move over to the other side of the house with our cameras. Okay, so we thought we'd move over actually to the front of the house here for this side of the property that we just camera just before we go to the other side and show. So here are the synthetic grass patches that we're covering up, the backwater valve and the other clean out. So the first one here is this backwater valve assembly that we lifted out of the system. There's that gate that we saw in the video, and as you can see, the gate is frozen. It does not rotate up and down, so it's broken. So we're actually going to leave this out because, again, with the broken gate, it's not serving any purpose. It can't stop anything from coming back from the city across, and because it doesn't move, it could actually hold up paper and debris and lead to a stoppage almost immediately because the gate doesn't swing out of the way. It's completely frozen. We actually, again, don't typically install these unless we get called by the city as part of a remodel or a repair. And even after it's been put in, we actually prefer to leave this out of the system because it just causes a lot of headaches. So we do need to leave this out and off to the side. Again, that's where these cleanouts are. We'll put the covers back on. And now we'll move over just past the entry gate here that leads to the front door to show you where that sag belly is located. Okay, so here's the front entry gate. Here's the driveway for the garage. There's the street for the property. And again, right in front of the sidewalk here, the second step down, we have this clean out. That's the one we mentioned on the video. And then you can see this red disc, and we have all this little green dotted chalk lines. That's the beginning of the sag right there that we picked up at about 5 feet 7 inches deep. You can see there's one step up, and then the second red disc right there, that's where this line makes that 90 and then turns into clay and heads to the street. So in between these two red discs, all along the dotted chalk marks, that's the sag. So it's right about 4 feet long. And that's the area that, again, if it did back up, this clean out here would need to be undone. We can see that there's no wear indicator marks. That it doesn't look like they've had to undo this clean out and snake it or maintain it. So even though it's relatively deep, we don't expect to be too much of a problem. But if it is, a garden hose might be able to be put down there full blast to clean the debris out with actually even calling a plumber. Otherwise, the plumber can go right from here and within a few feet clean out the line really quick. So we'll now move to inside the garage and then the other side of the house. Okay, we're now on the west side of the house here at the very back. We have the other clean out. So right here in the ground we have this 3-inch clean out. A little bit of debris that kind of backs up into the line from what we call back flushing, kind of how things kind of flow through the line. So this is kind of typical. You'd see a line. So there's the entry point right there. A little bit of gunk there. So when you flush the pipe and it comes by that T-junction we just passed, it actually doesn't all go in the immediate direction of flow. And it'll kind of go back the other direction. So that's why that dry portion of the line that we'd call had that little bit of buildup and gunk in it as we back up here through the system. This is kind of normal that you'd see that. There's not a problem with the line. There's actually just no water draining until you get to this T-junction right here on the left-hand side. So that's why that'll kind of accumulate a little bit there. So nothing out of the ordinary there. A little bit of paper and debris here. Again, the unit's vacant, so if people are on occasion using the toilet at all, there's no water chasing it from all the other sinks and showers to really keep flushing it out. So not a problem either there. And it really doesn't need to be cleaned out. It's very minuscule, the amount that's there. Here's another T-junction picking up the other fixtures of the bathroom. We eventually will come up to the junction for the 3/4 bath that's headed towards the garage as well. And then we have the backwater valve T-junction and clean out in the garage itself. So again, everything's ABS plastic. That's why we're moving through this kind of quick. There's nothing really going on because it's all new plastic pipe. We don't have cast iron. That would be an issue. There's nothing holding water here. Here's a T-junction right here. Here's the other T-junction right there. Everything looks clean and good. And then here we have one opening right here. I don't think that's our backwater valve. That's our last dump into the system here. Everything still looks good. We didn't, again, expect to find anything just like we didn't on the other side. Here's another dump in T-junction right there. Here's our turn on the line. This might be the spot where we're actually starting to go into the garage. Okay, it doesn't appear that we passed that backwater valve unless it's out of the system. We're making sure we didn't pass it on that turn. We have a vertical T-junction right there. We did unscrew the backwater valve. We didn't open the lid yet, so it's possible maybe it was pulled, or if we did pass it, it was on that turn we're going to go ahead and pause the video and go ahead, and we are 87 feet out, so we're quite a ways out. We're going to go ahead and run some water here shortly and see if we can get the rest of the way out, just to verify where it ties into the rest of the system. Okay, so we have all the water running in this bathroom that's right on the other side of the window that we're going from this clean out. That's the very beginning, that master bath. We did open up the backwater valve clean out in the garage, and it does not appear that this pipe goes to that actually, and the backwater valve has been removed actually in that one. So just like we mentioned on the other one, we typically do remove it. Somebody already removed that one, maybe because it became defective, maybe it was leading to little hiccups with the gate. So looks like we just passed through a possible sag belly there at about 100 feet, but we have all the water running, so we're not sure of that. So it looks like this portion of the system right here, if it did pass by the backwater valve, might have been right there, or this is going across a different path and actually does not incur that particular backwater valve in the garage with the path that they landed up using for this side of the house. So we're just going to keep pushing our camera to go through the line here, and then we'll back up with the water off, since we're not sure how these or where these pipes intersect with each other for both sides of the house. We're already out 135 feet. Okay, this is the max distance on this particular reel that we have here. So we're going to go ahead and see where we're at on the property, since we're such a long distance out here. We're going to pause the video. Okay, so we've gone ahead and located this sewer pipe for this side of the house as well as the one in the garage. And actually what we've determined is the cleanouts and the backwater valve in the garage is only for the 3/4 bath on this side of the house that's not off the exterior wall. So as soon as you come through the garage door, that bathroom off to the left, that is its own small independent sewer line, and that dumps into right by where the sag belly area is for that other T-junction that we found before the clean out. We'll show that on another camera here coming up. This side of the house does not run towards the garage. It actually runs across the length of the house, the width of the house, and then junctions in from the other side of the house. So basically the pipe that you're looking at right here we located is in the front yard on the other side of the house, almost where that other pipe was already inspected. So what we're looking at right here is the sewer line that we already inspected. If we had a little bit capability to go a little bit further past this, for about another 10-15 feet, we'd run into the clean out that's in the front yard, and then eventually that sag belly. So we're going to pull back on the line here, and now that we've got water through the system, to make sure we don't have any sags or bellies to the line. So there's a turn right there on the line where it made a left turn. There's T-junctions that just all went by. And in fact, this T-junction right here is that other backwater valve that we had passed earlier that we pulled out. So that gives you a frame of reference where we're at. So we went clear across the house, basically. So we're going to pull back on here, make sure again that there's no areas holding water. We didn't see any debris in the system. So coming up here in about 100 feet on our markers where we had some water being held, but it may have not been the sag belly, and that's what we're checking here right now. There's a T-junction right there. That's all that was maybe water dumping into the system. So as you can see, the ABS pipe is all clear. Oops, apologize. There's that turn on the line. That's where it looks like we're dumping into the other portion of the system with another left turn. So a little bit of hair and stuff coming off that drain right there. That might be a shower drain or tub drain. So everything looks good on the system. There's no issues with this ABS pipe coming from this side of the house. So we'll keep pulling this back just to make sure now that water's been run through the whole system that, again, nothing's holding water. There's no deep sag or belly. And everything does look good. Pull back kind of quick here. Nothing there. Just that little chunky debris that's finally just kind of breaking off from water usage now, but again, does not require a cleaning of any type. Okay, we're about 20 feet left only, so we're coming about to the very beginning of the system here where the first fixture jumps in, and everything again looks really good. So we'll move over our cameras that we have set up in the garage to show that last pipe junction. There's the first T-junction. This is that little debris that just sits in the clean out line. It's not part of the system, and then we're out of the pipe here. So we're back outside on this side of the house. So we're going to pause and move into the garage. Okay, so here's our third sewer line, and this is the one in the garage, our camera. Now we're already pushed all the way out to the clay pipe. We had pushed this camera in the system while the second one that we just used was all the way out. We wanted to see if they were intersecting in any way back over towards this portion of the system, and surprisingly they're not. So even though these are both on the same side of the house, this one runs independent all the way out until you get to the clean out just near the front steps after the sidewalk. So here's that clay pipe, and then here's that sag belly to the line that's holding water. Here's the clean out T we just passed. And then here's where that vertical drop, where this line dumps into the system. So we're coming back through that. There we go. And now we're headed across. So again, this is its own independent line. Even though the master bath, when you go through the garage, is up farther past down the hallway, it does not intersect with the first bathroom when you go through the garage on the left-hand side immediately. So this comes back across here. We're headed back into the garage, essentially. And here is the backwater valve, so that always has a little pocket of water being held in. So here's the short assembly for this backwater valve in the garage. Here's the two cleanouts. So the backwater valve does not have a gate at all. You can see it was completely removed. The other one had that circular flapper. This one's been removed. So we'll just put our camera back into here. So this is the direction of this 3-inch line. The other ones became 4-inch. This is an individual 3-inch line. As we push back in here, we had ran water through that 3/4 bath when you first come through the garage. And you can see it's all ABS plastic, and here we're going up to the beginning of the line right here, and that's the very beginning, and then leading back up to the vent. So that's why the horizontal line is stopping right there, because it begins at this bathroom through the garage, this 3/4. So the whole system is ABS plastic until you get to the property line just in front of the sidewalk. Then it's clay. No issues with the clay. We only have that one sag that we denoted just in front of the sidewalk that's marked out. Not really a repairable situation. Hopefully it doesn't even require any maintenance and won't have any stoppages, but it's always possible that it could. So that's the only small glitch on the system we see, other than your individual local stoppages you're going to get from hair, skin, and soap scum in tubs, sinks, showers, and kitchen debris as well. But the main sewer, under all the slab and under all the everything, is in good condition. So just that one small sag belly out front. So everything else is good on the system, has a clean bill of health overall. So that concludes this recording.